Jacob Hale had never intended to become the center of an intergalactic incident. He had never intended to travel beyond Earth, never meant to set foot on a starship, and certainly never imagined he would someday cradle a whimpering alien creature in his arms while half a dozen armed mercenaries pointed plasma rifles at him. He was just a single dad from Phoenix, Arizona, a man who worked double shifts, heated frozen meals for dinner, and stayed up late helping his 12-year-old daughter with her math homework. His life had been plain, predictable, painfully ordinary, until the sky cracked open above the grocery store parking lot 3 weeks ago. The alien ship had appeared without warning, without explosion or sonic boom. One moment, the sun beat down on Jacob's windshield as he loaded groceries into the trunk. The next, a shimmering tear split across the sky like someone had sliced reality with a glowing knife. People screamed. Some dropped their carts. A few ran. Jacob didn't. He stood still, staring at the impossible shape descending through the atmosphere. The first thing he thought was, I hope Harper isn't seeing this from school. She gets nightmares too easily. The second thing he thought was, that ship is falling too fast. The third thing he thought was, if it hits the city. He didn't finish the thought because the ship slammed into the ground just beyond the row of industrial warehouses east of the parking lot. Fire erupted. Debris rained across the asphalt. People ran in every direction. And Jacob, against every instinct of survival, ran toward the crash. He didn't know why. That was the first question every reporter would ask him later. Why did he run toward danger? Why didn't he hide like everyone else? Why did he, a single father with a 12-year-old daughter waiting for him at home, sprint into a smoking crater where an alien vessel had torn itself in half? He could never answer it fully. He only knew that he heard something like crying. When he scrambled over the last ridge of twisted metal and broken earth, he saw it. A creature, massive, trembling, its limbs curled against its enormous body as it tried desperately to pull itself free from the collapsing wreckage. Its skin shimmered with a pale lavender sheen, rippling like liquid under the flickering emergency lights of the crashed ship. It was obese, no, oversized, its body designed for a different gravity, far lighter than Earth's. On this world, its legs simply could not support its own weight. It lay trapped, its enormous belly crushed against a spar of metal that had pierced the ground. Smoke drifted from the alien's torn breathing mask. Its voice, translated through a sputtering device, came out broken, terrified, heartbreakingly human. Please don't hurt me. I can't walk. Jacob froze. Fear tightened his throat. Every instinct screamed at him to run. This was not a human. Not even close. But then he saw the creature's eyes, huge, wet, gleaming with terror. Not monstrous. Not violent. Just scared. Hey, Jacob said softly, raising both hands. I'm not here to hurt you. The alien whimpered, flinching. Humans destroy, humans conquer, please. Jacob blinked. Not this one, he said. I'm just a dad, man. The alien stared at him with confusion, as if the concept itself was foreign. Jacob stepped closer, then another step. Heat seared his face from the fires licking the broken hull. Sparks showered the ground. The crater groaned, shifting under the weight of collapsing metal. He didn't have long. My name's Jacob, he said. If you can understand me, blink or something. The alien blinked. Slowly. Fearfully. All right, Jacob whispered. Good. Look, you're pinned. I need to move that beam off you. But I need you to trust me. The alien shook its head weakly. Humans do not save, humans take. Jacob almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because of how stupidly typical it was. Of all the people this alien could have crashed next to, it had found one of the few who had nothing left to take from anyone. Buddy, Jacob said, gripping the metal beam, you're about to discover the universe's biggest secret about humans. The alien's breathing hitched. Jacob lifted with everything he had. Pain shot through his arms. His muscles screamed. But the beam shifted just enough. The alien's enormous leg dragged free with a sickening slide. The creature cried out, shuddering, its massive frame collapsing onto its side. You're okay, Jacob gasped, arms trembling. You're okay now. No, the alien whispered, voice fading. The hunters, they followed us, they will come. Jacob stiffened. Hunters? Before the alien could answer, the air ripped with a piercing shriek. Then Jacob saw them. 6 armored figures materialized at the edge of the crater, shimmering into visibility through cloaking fields. Their armor was matte black, segmented, and frighteningly smooth. Their helmets bore no eyes, no faceplates, only a single humming red slit. Plasma rifles were already leveled at the alien. One of them spoke, its voice a mechanical rasp. Subject designated KV-17. Surrender immediately. The alien whimpered, curling into itself. They came, they always come. Jacob instinctively moved between the alien and the soldiers. He didn't think. He didn't plan. He just stepped forward, arms spread, heart thundering. Back off, he shouted. He's injured. He needs help. The closest soldier tilted its head as if studying a particularly annoying insect. Human, it intoned. Stand aside. You lack classification for this engagement. Jacob didn't move. I'm not letting you kill him. The soldiers raised their weapons. The alien screamed. Jacob, go. They'll kill you. Jacob didn't budge. He had been afraid of many things in his life. Sickness, losing his job, failing his daughter. But something about these armored hunters triggered a deeper instinct in him, a surge of protective fury he hadn't felt since the day Harper was born. You want him, Jacob growled. You go through me. Silence. Then a single word from the hunter. Accepted. The rifles hummed with lethal energy. Jacob's heart pounded. His breath shook. He whispered, maybe to himself, maybe to Harper far away, maybe to the alien cowering behind him. Come on, then. The plasma rifles fired. And everything exploded. The jungle grew darker as Callum dragged Rivik deeper into the thick maze of roots and glowing underbrush. The air was heavy with moisture, each breath like drawing steam into the lungs. Strange insects hummed above them, scattering when Callum brushed through the ferns. The entire forest felt alive, aware, watching. Rivik had fallen silent hours ago, not out of calm, but because every word cost energy his injured body couldn't spare. His breaths came shallow and uneven. Callum felt the weight of each one, as though the alien were borrowing his strength just to stay conscious. We need higher ground, Callum murmured, scanning the terrain. Hunters always sweep low first. Rivik didn't answer. His eyes were half closed, glowing faintly. Callum knelt beside him. Hey. Stay awake. Rivik blinked slowly. My kind does not deserve this kindness. Callum frowned. You don't get to decide what you deserve right now. You get to decide one thing. Staying alive. A weak rumble vibrated through Rivik's chest, Azrak's attempt at a humorless laugh. Humans are relentless. You have no idea, Callum muttered. He secured the stretcher straps again and hauled the alien forward. Every muscle in his back screamed from the earlier wounds, but he pushed through the pain. He had carried his daughter through hospitals, through storms, through days when she couldn't even lift her head. He could carry one alien survivor. Hours blurred together until they reached a cliffside rise overlooking the shimmering canopy. Callum released the stretcher and collapsed beside it, gasping for air. Sweat dripped into his eyes. Rivik watched him in silence, a strange mix of gratitude and guilt twisting his features. You should rest, Rivik said quietly. Callum chuckled breathlessly. You sound like my daughter. Did she survive long with her illness? The alien asked, voice barely above a whisper. Callum stared out toward the horizon. Dawn was beginning to stain the sky purple. Longer than anyone expected. She taught me how to fight for every day. And how to keep fighting when every day hurts. Rivik swallowed slowly. I understand now why you did not abandon me. Callum leaned back against a rock, closing his eyes for a moment. I didn't do it because I'm noble. I did it because I'm stubborn. Rivik's breathing hitched suddenly. His body tensed, scales rippling. Callum, listen. Callum opened his eyes. The jungle was silent. Too silent. Then a metallic click echoed from behind a cluster of trees. Callum rolled into a crouch instantly. His hand slid to the small plasma pistol he kept strapped beneath the stretcher frame. He raised it slowly. Shadows shifted. 3 figures stepped into view. Not predators. Not beasts. Zrak soldiers. Their armor glinted turquoise under the rising light, and each carried a jagged rifle pulsing with energy. Their helmets resembled angular jaws, intimidating silhouettes carved for war. Rivik's entire body recoiled. Callum, those are my people. They don't look friendly, Callum muttered. They are not. The lead soldier stepped forward, helmet retracting with a hiss. Sharp ridged features and bright amber eyes locked onto Rivik, and then onto Callum. We tracked your escape pod signal, the soldier growled. We expected to find your corpse, traitor. Rivik's breath shuddered. I am no traitor. You fled the battlefield, the soldier hissed. You abandoned your unit. You surrendered to an enemy. I begged a human for mercy, because I could not walk. Rivik roared back, shocking even himself. The soldier's gaze swept to Callum. You should have killed him, human. Zrak, who cannot stand, do not deserve to live. Callum's jaw clenched. Funny. That's the exact opposite of how my people work. You interfere with our justice system, the soldier snarled. Release him to us, or die beside him. Rivik's eyes widened with sudden panic. Callum, if they take me, they will kill you. Humans offering aid to enemy soldiers is punishable by. I don't care about their laws, Callum said sharply. The Zrak commander barked an order. 2 soldiers advanced, rifles raised. Callum stood tall. You take one more step, and I swear your armor will be scrapped before you blink. A dangerous silence followed. Rivik whispered, Callum, do not do this. Callum kept his eyes locked on the soldiers. You think I'm going to let them drag you away to execute you for being injured? I didn't haul your big butt across half a forest just to hand you over. The Zrak commander laughed, a cold, ridged rumble. You cannot win against trained soldiers. Maybe not, Callum said, but I'll make sure you regret it. The commander aimed his rifle. Before he could fire, the ground beneath them trembled. A deep rumble built, like the growl of a giant waking from sleep. Callum stiffened. What now? Rivik's face paled. Callum, this region is home to burrowers. What kind of burrowers? The kind that eat anything that moves. The earth exploded upward as a colossal serpent-like creature erupted from below, flinging soil and roots through the air. Its body shimmered with plates of natural armor, and its maw gaped wide, teeth like interlocking blades. The soldiers scattered, shouting orders. Callum grabbed Rivik's stretcher handles and swung him toward the cliff wall. Hold on. The burrower lunged at the nearest soldier, clamping down with a sickening crunch. The jungle filled with screams and energy blasts. Rivik trembled violently. Callum, leave me. You must leave me. Not happening. Callum dragged him behind a boulder as the creature thrashed violently. Another soldier fired a plasma burst into its flank. The burrower shrieked, tail whipping through the clearing like a living wrecking ball. A shattered piece of armor slammed into the rock beside Callum. Rivik felt the air vibrate with terror. Callum, please. This time I mean it. Leave me. I do not want you to die trying to save me. Callum leaned close, eyes fierce. I told you. I don't abandon the people I care about. Rivik's breath caught. Cared about me? Deal with it. The burrower suddenly whipped its entire body toward them. Callum shoved Rivik flat, raising his pistol, firing 3 shots straight into the creature's eye. The monster roared, thrashing wildly. Its massive body slammed against the cliffside. The shockwave knocked Callum off his feet. His pistol skidded out of reach. Rivik reached out, arm trembling. Callum. The burrower reared back for another strike. Callum rolled onto his knees, reaching for the stretcher, reaching for Rivik. Then something unexpected happened. The surviving Zrak commander fired not at Callum, not at Rivik, but at the burrower. Again and again. Roaring in rage and fear, the soldiers moved as a unit, unloading every charge they had. A final blast pierced the creature's skull. The beast collapsed, shaking the ground one last time before falling still. Silence washed over the clearing. Callum panted heavily, eyes darting between the soldiers and Rivik. The commander lowered his rifle and stared at Callum for a long, unreadable moment. Then he spoke. "You fought beside one of ours," he said. "You could have used his weakness against him, but you did not." Callum didn't answer. The commander stepped forward, placing a clawed hand briefly on his chest, a Zrak gesture of acknowledgement. "For this, we owe you." Rivik stared in disbelief. Callum looked just as shocked. The commander turned to his remaining soldier. "Send signal. We will treat the wounded and regroup." Callum's heart pounded. "Does that mean you're taking him?" The commander shook his head.
"No.
"He stays with you. He is your responsibility now." Rivik's eyes filled with something Callum had never seen in his rack before.
Hope.
Callum exhaled. "Then let's get out of here before something bigger shows up." As the soldiers vanished into the trees, Rivik whispered, "Callum, what you did today will change everything." Callum knelt beside him.
Good.
Because everything needs to change. Together, they prepared to move again, deeper into unknown territory, toward whatever destiny the universe had in store. The forest seemed quieter after the burrow attack, as if even the wildlife understood something monumental had just occurred. Callum tightened the straps around Rivik's stretcher and adjusted his own torn shirt, clinging together mostly by dried blood. He winced as pain shot up his spine, but he kept moving. Stopping was not an option anymore. Rivik watched him with glowing amber eyes that were softer than before. No aggression, no fear, just a deep, complicated respect. "You saved my life twice now," Rivik murmured. "That is not something humans do for the enemy." Callum exhaled. "You're not my enemy." Rivik's jaw trembled slightly, another unfamiliar emotion for his species. "If the old commanders hear what happened today, they will consider me corrupted." Callum smirked. "Good. Means I'm doing something right." Despite the joke, he felt the weight of those words. The encounter with the Zrak soldiers had changed something, not just in Rivik, but in the fabric of their conflict itself. For the first time in decades, a human and a Zrak had stood side by side against a common threat. Not by treaty, not by command, but by instinct. Callum lifted the stretcher and continued through the narrow rock passage carved by ancient rivers. The jungle thinned, transitioning into a plateau of shimmering stone that reflected the sky like fractured mirrors. Rivik's voice was weak. "Callum, why did the commander spare us?" Callum considered the question. Because he saw something today that didn't fit his worldview.
He's going to think about that.
Hard. "That is dangerous," Rivik whispered. "Exactly," Callum replied. "Dangerous thoughts can start revolutions." Rivik studied him. "Humans you always believe you can change everything." Callum shrugged. "Someone has to." Hours passed as the two climbed higher, the air becoming cooler, thinner. Callum's muscles burned. His hands shook, and still he pushed forward. Every step reminded him of carrying his daughter up the clinic steps on days she was too exhausted to move. Every stumble reminded him why he refused to leave Rivik behind. Eventually, they reached a small plateau sheltered by an overhanging rock. A waterfall trickled down the stone, gathering in a clear pool. It was the first safe place they had seen in hours. Callum lowered the stretcher carefully. Rivik inhaled deeply, savoring the clean air. "This is peaceful." Callum crouched beside him. "I'll get water and some food. Don't go anywhere." Rivik managed a snort. "As if I could." Callum left to fill the canteen at the pool's edge. As he knelt, the cold water numbed his fingers. He splashed some on his face, washing away the dirt and blood. When he looked up, the reflection staring back at him was exhausted, bruised, but determined. "You look terrible," he muttered to himself.
But he got up anyway.
When he returned to Rivik, the alien was staring at the horizon, where the sky shimmered with drifting particles of light. Zrak ships patrolled in the far distance, barely visible specks moving in formation. "They are searching," Rivik whispered. "Either for me or for you." Callum sat beside him. "Let them search. We're not done yet. Rivik turned his head slightly. Callum, what is your plan? Callum didn't answer at first. He tightened his bandages and leaned against the rock. I'm not sure yet, but running won't work forever. We need to send a message. Rivik frowned. To whom? To both sides, Callum said. Human and Zrak. Show them this doesn't have to be the way things are. Rivik's breath hitched. Callum, no one will listen. Someone will, Callum replied. One commander already did. That's a start. Silence stretched between them. Then Rivik asked quietly, Why risk everything for me? A stranger. A soldier of the enemy. Callum closed his eyes. Memories of his daughter surged. Her laughter, her tiny hands gripping his, her voice, small but determined. Daddy, don't let go. I made a promise, he whispered. To her? Callum nodded. She told me if I ever met someone who needed help, someone who couldn't stand on their own, I should do for them what I did for her. Rivik swallowed, overwhelmed. Your daughter must have been extraordinary. She was, Callum said softly. And she'd be mad if I left you behind. Rivik didn't speak for the first time, not because he was weak, but because he didn't trust his voice. A rustle echoed from the far side of the plateau. Callum's instincts snapped awake. He grabbed his pistol and stepped in front of Rivik. From the shadows emerged not a soldier, not a predator, but a drone. Small, spherical, humming quietly. A human reconnaissance drone. Callum cursed under his breath. They found us. The drone projected a blue hologram. A stern human officer appeared, Admiral Rowan. His expression tightened when he saw Rivik behind Callum. Sergeant Callum Brooke, the hologram said. You were reported missing. And now we see you with a hostile combatant. Explain yourself. Callum stood tall. Admiral, he wasn't hostile. He was injured.
Dying.
I couldn't leave him. The Admiral's eyes hardened. That alien is responsible for human deaths. And humans are responsible for theirs, Callum shot back. How long does this cycle go on? The Admiral's expression didn't change. Hand him over, Callum. Or you will be labeled a traitor. Rivik tensed. Callum, go. Do not throw your life away. Callum didn't move. He stepped closer to the hologram. Sir, with respect, if we keep killing every wounded soldier we find, there will never be peace. Someone has to break the pattern. Not you, the Admiral snapped. This is bigger than. No, Callum interrupted. This is exactly the size it needs to be. One human, one Zrak, one choice. The Admiral's jaw tightened. Then I am ordering you. Surrender him. Callum turned his back to the hologram and placed his hand on Rivik's stretcher.
No.
The hologram flickered violently. Callum Brooke, you are hereby relieved of duty and... The drone suddenly sparked. Rivik had reached out and crushed its sensor node with one powerful hand. The hologram vanished. Callum stared. You didn't have to do that. Rivik breathed heavily. I will not let them punish you for helping me. Callum swallowed hard.
Well.
Now both of our armies are angry. Rivik managed a weak smile. Then perhaps they will have to listen. Callum sat beside him again. The two watched the sun lower across the alien sky. For a long time, neither spoke. Finally, Rivik whispered, Callum, what happens now? Callum leaned back, exhausted but certain.
Now?
We survive. We tell our story. And we make sure the galaxy hears it. Rivik's eyes softened. Together? Callum nodded.
Yeah.
Together. The wind shifted across the plateau, carrying the scent of distant storms and new beginnings. Two former enemies, one broken in body, one broken in heart, looked out at a future neither had expected. For the first time in generations, the possibility of peace existed. Not because of treaties, not because of politics, but because one human father refused to let a wounded stranger die alone. And somewhere, in a quiet corner of the universe, that small act of compassion began to ripple outward, changing everything.